So he's finally in the building. Like we mentioned, we're introducing a brand new segment on the show where we'll be talking about all things property, from the latest news to the hottest trends. We'll also be covering all that you need to know when it comes to the property space. I'm also jumping straight into it lately, so this guy couldn't have come at a better time. His name is Tim Akinnusi. Hope I'm saying that correct. You'll correct me. But also an expert in the industry and the co-founder and CEO of Mortgage Market. Morning, Tim. How are you?
I'm very well. It's great to be back in the studio.
Yay.
Hey? Last time I was here was pre-COVID.
Yeah, that's the great thing. COVID has robbed us of great gems and great connects. So it's nice to have a connect like you back in the studio to reconnect with us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, tell us more about yourself, Tim. I mean, you got into property, you got into brick and mortar. You know, what's that space been like for you?
You know, when I got into property, and I should tell you a funny story. Like, I started working, and I had my first job. And you know, when you have a first job, the things you want to do is to buy that car.
Of course.
Big mistake.
Yep.
Big mistake, my brother.
Yeah.
I bought a car. It was one of those Audi A4s, really lovely. And then I saw a property out in Sunninghill. Back then, it was a development off plan that was going for about 359,000
In Sunninghill.
in Sunninghill.
Wow.
It was a studio apartment.
Right.
And I decided, you know what, I'm going to show up for the show day on the Sunday and not the Saturday. And I went on the Sunday. It was sold out. And the next phase was now 395,000. And all of a sudden, I couldn't afford this place because
Yeah.
I had spent my money on buying the car.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience to say, you know what, I should have taken my time and understood to buy the house first and not the car.
And I love what you're saying, Tim, because this is why we're getting into conversations like this on a weekly basis, understanding the importance of property, right? Versus the needs and wants.
100%.
Right.
And suffice to say, I ended up renting for 2 years
Sure.
before I could, earn a
Yeah.
little bit more to then afford my first property, which I then bought in 4 ways.
And it also must be said that there's nothing wrong with renting, but I think the point you're making is that you were in a position to afford a property for 300 and something thousand, and you chose to go for a car. So then why is it important to get into property, as soon as you can?
Right. So, I suppose the question is, the issue of the land, which is
Okay.
a highly contentious and, sort of triggering topic that we won't really go into. But property is a derivative of that, right? So it is deeply tied to who we are as people, right? It's a reflection of your status in society. It's a reflection of your values, and it's a reflection of your sense of dignity, right? So it's not just important for us as South Africans across the world. Property is the thing that everybody needs to get into to be able to say, yes, I have a small nest egg and I have a source of wealth creation. Right? So it's a big deal. And if you think about what we went through under COVID, under lockdown, if you didn't have a good property that could serve as your space of work, your place of social, which actually just lay your head down, right? It would have been a very difficult space. And I think, many South Africans, we went through that. And, the reflection for me was that we have to have decent housing for everybody.
Absolutely.
And we've got to create the environment where people have access to better housing. And so, that's why I think it's a really big deal.
Sure.
And, everybody needs to know exactly how to get into it and how to make the most of it.
And that's why, again, we're here today. Tim, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's a small world because I'm also getting into property, and the company that you own and your partner is assisting me with my property now. And, what more can we expect for those who are keen on investing in property? Not only that, but also the knowledge that those who own property already have. What are they going to gain from the segment?
So what they'll gain from is how to get into it, the understanding of how to access property in terms of long-term debt, right? How to proceed with buying your first house, right? Why you should actually own first before then looking at investment property as a secondary option as well. And then we'll look at some of the tricks of the trade as to how to then use your home loan, which is, typically the funding mechanism that you would use to buy property for many of us, and how to use that, right, to be able to leverage the bank debt to be able to get into property and pay it down and still have access to the cash. One of the things that is unknown to a lot of people is that even the rich people, people with money, don't actually use their own money to buy property. They leverage their assets, right? And that's something that, if we understand that better, then you'll be in a position to acquire, a really great property portfolio over time.
I love that, and I love the fact that we're going to take it there, because often some people keep this information close to their chest and they don't want to share it. So Tim, I'm looking forward to this journey, absolutely. And as they say, if you don't own a property, buy one. Tim, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us an introduction. In terms of where people can find you and how we follow you, how do we do this?
Well, you can simply go to mortgagemarket.co.za, and you can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. We've got great content that will take you through the A to Z of home ownership. We have access to all the 7 banks in the country. We also give a really great value proposition and giving you 5,000 in cash back just for self-serving. So we know that acquiring property is,
I just want to say everything that he's saying, I affirm, I can testify, because I am part of your family recently. Again, it's a small world. Didn't know that you were going to be part of the segment. And it's amazing. It's amazing what you guys are doing. Great work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Tim Akinnusi, co-founder and CEO of Mortgage Market, joining us as we wake up on Metro FM. This segment back again next week, round about this time.